straight here, Will. So it's not the usual Grand Prix pit straight that you'll see in Formula 1. This is the straight that's on the downhill in towards Eau Rouge and Radion, and the first corner is going to be Eau Rouge.
It is, as Toby, I know I didn't see the message in time. Apologies, but we are almost ready to go racing here at Spa.
I mean, when was the last time you've seen a grid gridding up around the corner? I remember before they did the bus stop again, right?
Yeah, it's great to see this racing here on Team Redline social media channels. We are almost set then to go racing here at Circuit Spa Francorchamps. A wonderful look then up above at this start-finish straight. It's one that they often use in endurance racing. The drivers often see that, and then the fans are normally camped out on the right-hand side. It's a very old grandstand there on the right-hand side, but quite often we've got lots of great entertainment. We're going to have a lot here as well. The lights will go on top of the iris and gantry, ready to go racing. Green flag in the air. We are underway. Standing start. Turn number 1 is Eau Rouge, and a car pushed out onto the grass already as they work themselves down through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time, Toby. And a car off. 2 cars off.
Oh, there was a massive shot in the back there, and I'm seeing names running through, and I think it was Christopher Mies being affected there as well.
Yeah, go on, Connery.
3 wide for the race lead. Verstappen's in the middle of this one. Colombo on the inside. Van der Linde has to drop back here and make it side by side for third instead with 10 Vorder, as Vorder's able to haul himself up into a podium spot. So we've had a bit of carnage there in the mid-pack coming through Radion for the first time, Will. But Colombo, he's lost the race lead on the start here. Max Verstappen from the second row. He now leads this race as there's more spinning behind.
And you can say a little bit there, Connery, about the fact that standing starts really helped out Verstappen. He's leading the way right now as they come down into P1.
Yeah, it really helped him as further back problems for very many drivers at this stage. But your leading train really has kind of kept it together pretty well at the moment, because you can see there's Verstappen heading his way through La Fagna. We've got Colombo second place, 10 Vorder in third place, and you've also got the likes of Juncadella, Tom Dillman in this train, Spengler, Guven as well. So they're all sort of in the slipstream train at the moment, Will, which will keep this group together.
Yep, as live timing and scoring is available, visit racebot.tv/timing for that one. We're going to go on board and Larry 10 Volts right now as he heads himself through Blanchimont towards the bus stop chicane, running in that third place. Your top 5, well, that's all changed at the start of this race here, Toby. But what we've got is 9 more laps of racing to go, and anything can happen.
Yeah, it was a massive shunt at the beginning, and I think I've even seen Mike Rockenfeller being affected by coming back on track incident. But looking at this race so far, I've seen great battles in the backgrounds, and also now on board with Guven, a Porsche Super Cup driver. He's trying to get further places in front, P6 at the moment.
Yeah, we're on board Iron Chen Guven, and as they work themselves down towards Eau Rouge and Radion through the left-hander at Eau Rouge and up the hill through Radion. Look at how close he is, going to the outside as they head themselves onto the Kenwood straightaway. That's winner Spengler, who's alongside with right now as they head themselves down towards La Cour, and more side-by-side racing and battling going on behind P7, P8, P9, P10 side-by-side, Connery.
I almost sounded out Davide Vallecchi there with my big old whoa as they got so close coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion, but they're somehow able to keep it together. We have to remind everyone, though, damage is off for this session. As there's a car off, there's Antonio Felix da Costa out into the gravel there, coming through Rivage. He's able to rejoin the circuit in a safe fashion. I'll have to see if he's done this all on his own or whether he made contact with another driver. Mikael Jensen trying to head his way down the inside, just the slightest of contacts, and that Formula E driver is out into the gravel. Yeah,
that's the number 27 car. Let's see if we can get ourselves one more replay of that one from up above as they head themselves down into Roars Rivage. And yep, we call that the classic N-word there here and for Felix da Costa as he is down now in P number 19 on track. So out front, it's Max Verstappen who's leading the way. That gap between P1 and P2, Toby, now up to 2/3 of a second. Colombo, who started this race in pole position, now down into second place. It is the driver who holds the Formula 3 lap record around this racetrack, as you said earlier on, Max Verstappen, who is leading the way.
Yeah, and he's doing so very, very greatly, very, very calmly as well. I mean, Colombo is doing a great job of not losing it. You can see 0.6 seconds. It stays about the same at the moment, and he also doesn't have to worry too much at the moment about Larry Tenvoorde, who is in P3 with about 1 second of a gap behind. Who is having a problem as well as, I think, Calvin van der Linde, who lost a few places, and Dani Juncadella is a further 1.2 seconds behind in P4.
As they work themselves up the hill here at Circuit Spa, Francorchamps to go on board with Bruno Spengler, as he in that number 19 car is running in P6. He's a 2012 DTM champion. He's got just ahead of him Einchen Guven, but actually behind these drivers we got side-by-side racing going on. That's for P8 and 9, Toby.
Yeah, that's Lando Norris trying to defend with Calvin van der Linde, and he overtook him. Now Linde. Oh, and Philip Enger close as well, and that might be another contact and another spin down out into the gravel pit, but he just about saves it for himself though.
Yeah, replay coming up. Connery, talk us through it.
Yeah, you can just see the drivers in close proximity coming in towards Lecombe, and there was a bit of wheel banging between Norris and van der Linde that sent van der Linde wide, so he has to try and now fight with Philip Eng. Eng basically was beaten by the time for turn entry to Malmedy came through. We're riding on board with him. I think he's just sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong here, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. He's fighting a losing battle, and that results in contact between the two drivers.
Yeah, so we're back to the live pictures here as we've got battles going on outside of your top 10 that's worth keeping a bit of an eye out on as well. Kevin van der Linde, and now he's down into P12. So battle between the van der Lindes for P11 on track here, Connery. It's van der Linde versus van der Linde.
Yeah, it absolutely is. As there we go. Sheldon versus Kelvin. Which is the better van der Linde? Take your votes now.
Yep, as they work themselves down towards Boisgemont here, Toby. Meanwhile, out front, it is worth noting that Colombo has closed that gap from 2/3 of a second between himself and Verstappen, now down to half a second. It was close as they walked through the bus stop that last time by.
Yeah, that might be now a chance. I've been having an eye on them before, and they were pretty close at the end of the Camel Straight, so there might be the chance now for Colombo to get the overtake done up there, if he can stay out of the dirty air as much as possible going up Rouge and Radio.
Yeah, we had a question on social media. Are these drivers running in the same location, or are they running from home? They are all running from home here, so all of these drivers are using their own sim rigs. So you've got that battle going out at the very front of your field here. We're keeping our attention on that. Max Verstappen leading the way. A little bit of weaving between the two drivers. They come down in towards Lecombe. So all these drivers are running at home in their own sim racing rigs on the iRacing service. One thing though, Toby, it's not a game, it's a sim.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, the Jimmy Broadbent update, P31. That was the Jimmy Broadbent update.
Lovely. You've done it without me even giving you the cue there, Toby. So I haven't got the music or anything to go, but Jimmy B is running in P31 right now, just ahead of him. Mike Rockenfeller, we talked about him earlier on. Oh, he goes off one pipe, Montoya goes off there, and Rockenfeller goes off at Lecombe, Connery.
Big accident. Look at that, Montoya, he's on his roof. Big incident into Lecombe, and Montoya just drifting to the right a bit, Rockefeller basically has a front wing in there, but look at that massive accident from Juan Pablo Montoya. And, well, he just goes for a couple of flips into the runoff area, and he's taking the tow back to pit lane. So that's the only situation where you have to take the tow back to pit lane in this race, is if you get your car into in an unrecoverable situation like on its roof, since damage is off.
Yeah, we're just checking, by the way, about the live timing and scoring. If you need to, hit Control and F5, but live timing and scoring is available. Visit racebot.tv/timing for that on right now, if you want to keep up to date with what is going on in both of these races. Philip Eng, by the way, P9, he's right behind Connery, Jordan Pepper, as they work themselves on the exit of the final corner.
Yeah, Jordan Pepper went very wide there coming out of the bus stop chicane, but able to keep things together at the moment. And, well, the 2020 Bathurst 12 Hours winner trying to defend from Philip Eng at the moment for positions just inside of the top 10. And both of these drivers have actually had a pretty decent race so far, Will, because Pepper's up 10 spots, Eng is up 12 spots. Even Eatert behind them is up a good couple of spots as well. Here comes Philip Eng, though, because he has the run through Radion. Eng is able to get clear coming down the Kemmel Straight, but Pepper can just dive back in line and fight this one with the draft on the way in towards Lecombe. But he decides to back out of it in this situation. He goes a little deep on the brakes to try and recover a bit of lost time, but I don't think this battle's done.
No, it's not, as we've got battles going behind as well. Mikko Bertolotti versus Louis Deltraz as they go for P number 18 on track here. Toby, there's so much action going on. We will admit we cannot keep up with all of it right now, but Verstappen does lead away from Lorenzo Colombo. Larry Tenfort in third place, Daniel Juncadella in fourth, and Einchengu Van ransack your top five. But this field is so stacked. There's so much racing going on, all the way from P number 1 down to P number 30 and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see all these guys having, you know, the amount of racecraft we have in this event here is just enormous. And of course, you know, there will be damage, but and people flying off, but that is just because of all those cars on this track. I mean, look at the usual Formula 3 race in real life. How many cars are there? 20? And here we have like double that amount plus 5.
Yeah, indeed. It's an incredibly stacked field here today. Don't forget, Benoit Skippies is actually here on RaceSpot TV, coming live in just a couple of moments of time. Rachel Whiteford, Tyler Maxson, and Linus Brostrom will be there for that one. But we're here on this broadcast for the next hour or so as well. We're on board Daniel Juncadella as that is live 10 volt that went very wide on the exit of the bus stop chicane, Connery.
Yeah, trying to redefine the track limits, I think, coming through there is probably the nicest way, I'll say that one. But, you know, the battle for the race lead, a couple of positions down from this. There's another car going wide, coming through last source. I think, at least for P number 1 and P number 2 at the moment, as we'll see a replay, I believe this is with Norris. Yes, it is. The good F1 driver, but the better Twitch streamer, trying to get that pass done. Coming down in towards the Kemmel Straight as he steadily works his way back up through the field. He didn't really have the best of starts. He's lost 2 positions compared to where he started, but you know, he has all of those cars in a train ahead of him, so it's not outside the realms of possibility that Lando would be able to get himself at least into a top 5 finishing position here. But an interesting point, though, I wanted to talk about with the battle for the race lead. Colombo is not just sitting in the slipstream coming down the long straights. He's just keeping behind and biding his time for the moment. I think he's just watching and waiting to see whether he can make a move in the slipstream on the final lap, or rather near the final lap, because, you know, if you do it too early, you're very, very susceptible to being passed back on the draft.
Go on, Toby. You're oofing and ahhing as if you want to say something.
And they just spinned it. Felipe Albuquerque and Colapinto, they had a nice race, nice action, and now they binned it coming down the hill, and they binned it again on the right-hander over there, coming back to the track. Oh, I think you should stay in Colapinto.
Yeah, as we're having a look at Felipe Albuquerque down through Stavolo. I mean, to be fair, in terms of synchronization, I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10 there.
Put the cam to the other guy. Look at the right. Look at the right of your screen. You will see once he comes back on track, he sadly gets collected by other cars, and which doesn't make it easier for him.
No, it doesn't. But the spin itself, I mean, you've got to give that synchronization a 9 out of 10 there, Toby.
Definitely. And but the 43 had bad luck afterwards.
Yeah.
It happens. I mean, it happens to the best.
It does. As we go back to this battle further up in your field, Lorenzo Colombo, well, a moment ago, Toby, Connor is talking about the fact that Max Verstappen and Colombo, anything can happen. Well, Colombo is still within about two-thirds of a second right now of Max Verstappen, so work through Air Rouge and Radion again. Colombo as he works himself up the hill. There's a car actually coming out of pit road. That's going to disrupt this battle a little bit.
I mean, unless Christopher Mies gets out of the way, but Max will just use him as a bit of slipstream bait coming on towards the Lecum section, as Misi does get well out of the way of both of them, so it doesn't really affect the battle for the race lead in this situation. Important thing to note, though, for the final lap, Will, even though we started on the old pit straight down the hill in towards Eau Rouge and Radion, the actual finish line will be the usual one that you see in Formula 1 on the actual Grand Prix grid. This is basically the admins have set this to be the endurance layer of Spa, where they take the green coming out of La Source.
Yeah, and having been to the 6 hours of Spa, the Total 6 hours of Spa, as it's officially called, I'm sure that I would be hung, drawn and quartered if I didn't remember that fact, because you get the fireworks at the start finish line, the kind of lights going down around the racetrack, the fireworks is all beautiful. As you look normally, the drivers, the fans will go from start finish straight, they'll do the lap around the racetrack, and then they'll end up just watching the final part of the race from the balcony at the start finish line. We're on board with Job van Urecht right now, LMP2 race winner in 2019. He's got Kelvin van der Linde just ahead of him here, Toby, and that's about going on for P number 10 on track.
Yeah, P number 10, the one that people mostly like in open wheelers, since you nowadays get a point as well. By the way, if you did this during the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, you would need the whole 24 hours, because I did it once and I never do it again.
What, to walk around the entire Nordschleife? Yeah, I'd never do that.
Yeah, I did that once. Also, I did that going from post 131 to 147 because I was marshalling in 2017 up there. It's quite, let's call it, the military does less stuff than I did.
Yeah, so that's one of those things. And that's a great experience. It's I know a lot of fans are going to miss out on this year. Watching the race is always one thing, but actually experiencing a racetrack is another, Connery.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You know, sometimes, you know, the sound of the engines, even the smell, really just sort of builds the atmosphere of a race. But they're not requirements, and this is one of those examples. You can see Jordan Pepper at the moment. Oh my word! He's basically pushing Philip Eng down the kettle straight here. What is this? You're not supposed to bump draft in Formula 3 machines.
This isn't NASCAR.
I wonder what happens on the braking zone.
Oh, they separate. Yeah, they separate, Toby, just in time.
Social distancing, please.
Social distancing.
If there's ever an argument to make for social distancing, it should be when you're in a Formula 3 car under all circumstances, because bump drafting another Formula 3 car, that is just a big no. I had a question from Lorenzo Bonza that we're going to answer as we go through the middle part of our race, that lull we have in between the two races. Of course, there are two races coming up here today on the Team Redline stream. We just saw as well Nicky Katzberg, Tom Dillman. Dillman's got himself past Katzberg, Toby. That is for P number 12.
Yes, it exactly is. And I guess you want me to talk about the question?
No, we'll do that. We'll do that in the middle part of the broadcast. By the way, I'm completely an idiot. Nicky Katzberg actually got himself past Felix da Costa. He didn't actually lose a position. He gained a position over Felix da Costa.
I mean, you know, gaining positions is better than losing positions, but, you know, it happens so fast on this track with these drivers that you sometimes just see it on the timing screen changing position, and then you don't know was it now a gain or not. But Philip Eng is getting closer to Bruno Spengler, and I think those two guys, they know themselves way too good.
Yeah, as Philip Eng right now and Jordan Pepper down in towards the bus stop chicane. 2 laps to go at the line here, Connery. And I was just thinking, where's that "you blew it" graphic when I really need it right now? Because I did blew it.
Yeah, absolutely. But with 2 laps to go now, that race lead battle might heat up at any moment. We're currently watching the battle for around about P8 at the moment, but Colombo in second place is being very passive with Verstappen at the moment, and it's going to be go time basically from this point forwards as regards to their battle. As you can see it just around the corner there, that little kink on the Camel Straight, as Colombo still remaining outside the slipstream here. I think the overall plan here for Colombo is to get this one down into Lecum on the final lap of things, but then again, even if he does get that done, he's then vulnerable for the slipstream pass through Blanchimont and in towards the bus stop on that final lap. So it's for Colombo, it's basically where does he want to try and deploy that slipstream move and when?
Yeah, as we normally, when you and I have both done Monday Night Skippies in years gone by, Connor, we always say that on the last lap, the person leading could well be a sitting duck. And these Formula 3 cars, that could be the situation once again.
Yeah, it could well be. They head in towards Pouhon then. You're riding on board with the a winner of a Formula Renault race in 2019. Lorenzo Colombo, of course, participates in Formula 3 at the moment, so very much used to how these cars go, and especially at a track like this one. But he needs to rely on all of that current Formula 3 experience to try and deal with Verstappen here. You can see that gap being pulled out at the moment. It's up to 0.7 of a second that Verstappen has been able to pull out, coming through the middle sector here, trying to put some distance between himself and Colombo. Colombo, he is on the edge of the slipstream right now, but he does risk losing it unless he absolutely nails the bus stop. Into that then. We can see just about going to be getting the final lap signal. There they go, across the finish line. Verstappen leads from Colombo. The gap is now 6.5 of a second between the two of them on the brakes into the last source hairpin. And this is it, Will. Colombo needs to nail this exit and use the slipstream as much as possible to bring himself even slightly close.
As they work themselves then down towards Air Rouge and Radion for the final time in this first race here today. The gap is at 0.6 of a second. Is Colombo going to do it now, or is he going to wait until they get down to Blanchimont on this, the final lap of the race? And Colombo is nowhere near close enough right now. He's not gaining as they work themselves down into Le Combe. Has Verstappen been hiding a little bit of pace, or is this going to be a cat and mouse game in the battle for your race lead? The gap between P2 and P3, by the way, is about 2.9 seconds on track as the drivers work down into Rivage on this final lap. As we look now from the rear of Max Verstappen's Team Redline number 36 car as they come in towards Pouhon. The gap remains at about 0.6 of a second, but it will all potentially change as they exit through Stavolo number 2 on this final lap of the race. They work themselves now down through the Fangis chicane. As they come out of the Fangis chicane, they work now towards Stavolo. We go back on board with Lorenzo Colombo as they come now through in just 4 corners left remaining in this race, and Verstappen has been pulling out an advantage so far on this lap. So much so, ironically, it looks as though that Verstappen may well have enough here in terms of that draft, and I do think he does as they come down into the bus stop chicane for the final time. Lap number 10 out of 10 will be complete, and it will be Max Verstappen who works now through that final corner. Verstappen, your winner here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, Toby.
Yeah, he did a great job saving those tires. I mean, Colombo driving all the time in the dirty air. Of course, he lost a lot of grip, and then I don't know if he found a curse system or something in that car.
It was that last lap, and I almost think here, Connor, we've seen it before with Verstappen. He likes to play other drivers. His mindset, as we just saw Jordan Pepper and Kevin van der Linde at the end of the race. Verstappen's mindset as Nasser, yeah, you're right. Talk us through it.
Yeah, he's coming through the bus stop. He was in an extended side-by-side battle with Colapinto coming towards the end of this race. Colapinto will head his way across the start finish line, but you can in the position just ahead. But look at that, just tap, shoves Colapinto wide, but Colapinto is able to rejoin and almost goes directly into the side of Felipe Nasr there. But in the end, he is able to come away with that position. He's secured a top 20 spot here, and considering the how many big names are in this field, that's not too bad.
Yeah, I'll get my point out of my throat at this point, Connery. Max Verstappen, we know that he's a driver who can be aggressive and fast on track, but we know that psychologically, he's very similar to Alain Prost in that he loves to play psychological warfare with the minds of people, and I think he did exactly that here today. He knew what his pace could be. He kind of got Colombo into a sense of false security. He thought, Colombo, okay, last lap I'll have a go for it, and then Verstappen just turns a wick up.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible. But that isn't the end of the racing for this evening. We have race number 2 coming up in just a couple of moments, and well, we still do not know which track that is going to be at. It may even be Spa here again. Who knows? We don't know. Only the race stewards know at the moment, and we'll be bringing that to you in just a couple of moments. But yeah, what a race. That was absolutely awesome.
Yep, as we then get ourselves a look at your race results from race number 1 here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, and that's going to come up on your screen. Max Verstappen then, it's 7/10 of a second ahead of Lorenzo Colombo in terms of your 10-lap event. Daniel Juncadella in 3rd place, 3.7 back from your race winner. Leiten Vort in 4th place, and Einchun Kuven rounds out your top 5. Lando Norris rounds out your top 6, and they were 6 drivers finishing within 10 seconds of your race winner. Philip Eng in 7th place, Bruno Spengler in 8th, Kim van der Lint in 9th, and Jordan Pepper rounds out your top 10. Drivers 11 through 20, Toby, take it away.
Yeah, Job van Uytert, he took place 11th, and Tom Dillman on 12th. Nicky Katzberg just arrived in P13, followed by Sheldon van der Linde in P14. Antonio Felix da Costa is then in P15, followed by Felix Rosenquist in P16. Jesse Krohn then at 17th place, followed by Luis Delatras, who didn't have so much luck, so only 18th for him. Ben Viscan on P19, and the top 20 rounds out Franco Colapinto, who had that massive shunt in the back. And Connery, you have placed 21 to 30.
Yes, I do. Felipe Nasr comes home in P21. After that, bit of a last lap fight with Colapinto for P20. It's going to be Mr. Jimmy Broadbent coming home in 22nd place, as he's gained 10 positions on where he started. Not bad for a man in a shed, let's just say that. But Max Splinteren in P23, Philip Albuquerque in P24, Bortolotti finishes in 25th with Muth in 26th, Rhett Westbrook in P27, Jensen P28, Jose Maria Lopez in 29th, and Niels Langveld in the 30th spot.
The rest of those results and coming up on your screen right now. 40 drivers taking part, 40 plus drivers taking part in that first race here today. And well, we knew it was going to be a lottery, but we didn't think the lottery was going to be exactly the same as where we started. Race number 2, Toby. Oh, we're back at Spa. We want to say a shout out to the 13,000 people plus watching on YouTube, as well as those watching on Twitch TV as well. Qualifying is over. Let's go to your starting grid for race number 2. And the grid is as follows. If we just allow that to happen, there we are. Grid up on your screen right now. Row number 1, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, 2 Formula 1 drivers. Kelvin van der Linde in 3rd place and Lorenzo Colombo in P number 4. Leiten Vort in P number 5 with Tom Dillman in P number 6. Philip Eng, Einchen Guven, Nicky Katzberg and Richard Rishaw round out your top 10. We've got to run through that starting grid because we haven't got much time for the green flag here. But Toby, final thoughts before we go green.
Yeah, Marco Bortolotti is in there. We have Luis Delatras, Richard Westbrook, of course, on P28 at the moment. Niels Langveld just made it to P32. And I saw Gianni Vecchio in there as well, and René Rast on P40. So seeing that Gianni Vecchio now found the way in there in this race, a great sim racer from Team Redline, of course. I wonder how well he drives, but Jimmy Broadbent made it on P25 this time, so maybe a better start for him this time around?
Yep, and Connery, final thoughts.
Well, we saw an absolutely fantastic race in race 1. Same looks to be on the cards for race number 2, but with Lando Norris, he has a better qualifying position in this race. He shares the front row with Max, and that is going to be an interesting prospect.
Are you ready for some fireworks? We're going to see that over the course of this race, almost certainly here on Racebot TV and Team Redline Speed on Twitch and on YouTube. Thank you for sticking with us for the course of this broadcast. The drivers, they are all now ready to go. We're going to see those lights go on top of the Irising gantry in just 1 moment's time, and then it is going to be flat out for another 10 laps of excitement. Those lights are now on. Those lights will go out, and we are underway here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, Connery.
Great launch from Lando Norris. He gained a little bit of speed on the way in towards Eau Rouge and Radion, but he can't quite get alongside of Max Verstappen. Kevin van der Linde trying to force his way through in and amongst the top 3. The slipstream in effect for Ted Border as well on that left-hand side. They all fan out. Coming down the Camel Straight. It's 2 rows deep and 3 wide. In and amongst this battle, they make contact. 10 forward. Oh, that's a horrible, horrible accident in towards Lecombe. And well, it's now Max Verstappen that still leads this race from Norris from van der Linde. But everyone else outside those first couple of spots has been absolutely smashed in that incident.
Yeah, we saw Colombo there, Toby, who came 2nd place in race number 1. He is now way down your field, but what a crazy start to this race number 2.
I loved how they all kept it together through Camel Straight, or at least most of them. I mean, I've seen Tom Dillman lose it as well. So a lot of unfortunate people around on that track at the moment. But of course, we also have winners of these situations. Max Verstappen and Norris, well, they were quite smart. Norris were just bump drafting Max to just get away from the pack behind them, because I've seen people go 4 wide.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an absolutely crazy start here. By the way, live timing and scoring is now available. Visit racebot.tv/timing for that one. But Verstappen out front is the driver who leads the way. 2 Formula 1 drivers at the front of your field, both with Formula 3 experience. And look, actually, how close Norris gets through Verstappen as they work through Blanchimont. They're going to be almost side by side now as they come down in towards the bus stop chicane, but Norris doing the same waiting game that we saw in race number 1 here. It's going to be a case, so we know how Max Verstappen likes to play mind games in these races, Connery. Can he now hold off Norris as we're on to lap number 2?
Yeah, battling behind these guys for P3 as well. Eng filing his way through into that 3rd spot as they try to keep hang of these of Verstappen and Norris at the moment. You can see Norris sitting in the slipstream through Eau Rouge, through Radion he goes. Look at how much he's closing up here. Is he going to be as passive as Colombo was in race 1, or is he going to take the ball by its horns to drop a not-so-subtle reference as Lando Norris? Look at him, he's sitting inside the slipstream, pressing that nose as close as he dare to the rear diffuser, the gearbox of that Formula 3 ahead of him, but he lets Verstappen lead in towards Lecombe.
The same thing just happened directly behind him. Kelvin van der Linde didn't want to overtake Philip Eng right now. He just wants to keep close to him on the fight for P3, as you see on screen right now. So multiple people doing the same stuff all the time. Now Tom Dillman tries to get back, but he crashes again and takes another with him. And there are multiple people rejoining on track. So as again, the last behind Camel Straight strikes again, and he just about got off track before the other guys just came through.
Yeah, that's one of those things. You need to look in your virtual mirrors before you rejoin onto the racetrack. Kelvin van der Linde, of course, he had been top in the timing sheet at parts of qualifying. We go on board of him right now in that number 35 car, the ADAC GT Masters champion of 2019. Philip Eng is about half a second right now ahead of him in that 3rd place. We're keeping an eye out, of course, on what's going on with your race leader. We saw a brief glimpse of them there as they work through Blanchimont. They're very close once again as they come in towards the bus stop chicane. I don't want to make this the Norris and Verstappen show, but you never know here, Toby. This is what we might be focusing on for the next 8 laps of racing.
I think they're just gonna, Lando Norris is just gonna play the waiting game. He's not gonna give away the advantage he has. Also, he can do a little bit of fuel saving, which is never bad. The only thing that I'm worried about are the tires. I mean, you've seen before Max Verstappen being in front all the time, and in the back in the dirty air, the tire wear is quite a factor. But look again at Kelvin van der Linde on board right now with the ADAC GT Masters Champion of 2019. He's pushing Philipp Eng almost up the hill, the DTM driver, and look how close they get. But still, van der Linde is also going to play the same game as Lando Norris is.
Yep, as they work themselves then through a little kink here on the Camel straight away, and actually battle for the race lead. Norris going down to the outside, and he's going to make that move work. Norris moves himself to the top of the timing standings then in that number 24 car. He moves himself ahead of Verstappen. Replay of that one is going to come up now, and we're going to call it textbook because it was textbook there, Connery, over Verstappen.
Yeah, it wasn't really defended by the Verstappen either, though. So it tells me that there might be a little bit more in this because, of course, they're going to be in the same TeamSpeak or Discord or whatever voice over IP client that they use. You know, because I've tuned into their streams, Lando's stream a little bit. They are in active contact with each other, so it might have been orchestrated there. Of course, I can't watch or listen to that stream at the same time as trying to commentate, but it might just be what happened, and because they want to have this duel at the end of the race on their own and not have Eng or van der Linde get involved.
Well, you know what? You can't, but I can. Let's have a little listen then into what is going on right now in the Redline drivers chat, and we do say with a health warning here, some of this content may be unsuitable for some of our viewers. Well, you're not going to like this one, Toby. Silence. Deadly silence there. So that's anticlimactic, shall we say, to say the very least. But that battle is still going on for your race lead. This battle's still going on all the way through your field as well. This one going on for P number 12 on track. Neil Verhagen in the number 34 car. He's got himself Jesse Krohn just ahead of him in the number 16.
Yeah, and Felipe Albuquerque just right behind him. So this is a freeway battle for position 12. Then Jesse Krohn being driven in the IMSA just yesterday is also an interesting fact. So he's getting into sim racing more and more. And there we have a look behind from Lando Norris as he's getting a push. And I think the camera might be broken right now.
Yeah, that camera just getting a little bit of a breakage, shall we say, but Norris does still lead the way. And the thing is, you know, Conway, I've turned many a lap on iRacing, and yes, you can bump draft in some of these cars, even though that's not what the manufacturer's instructions say on them, but the ability to actually slow the car down into Le Com, that's something that you and I would struggle to. We've got to remember, these are pro drivers right now who've had experience of running in this car or on this track, that they basically know it inside out. And a big part about iRacing, of course, the cars are laser scanned and the track is laser scanned as well.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And of course, you know, like you said, we don't usually see the bump drafting in full effect. There's some fantastic racing going on for just inside the top 15 at the moment. There we go, Delatraz around the outside of Langeveld. They almost make contact as Delatraz has to take avoiding action out into the runoff there for the number 15 driver, as these guys have been absolutely scrapping it out for the first portion of this lap. You see Mike Rockenfeller, that's also third in line in this trio of very, very jet black cars at the moment. As you can see, the DTM champion 2013 is sort of on the outside looking in, but he did get stuck in coming down the Kemmel Straight last time around, making it 3 wide with the cars ahead of him, but they were somehow able to get through in one piece as they'll close up once again into Blanchimont. Langeveld going to go for the move. Rockenfeller in the middle here. Oh, it's a squeeze. It's a big squeeze, and Rockenfeller's come off the worst.
Replay coming up now, Toby.
Yeah, they went through there and they wanted to go 3 wide, but you know, the track has just that many portions of space, and there was just a slight touch of the right rear of that other car that Mike Rockenfeller induced there. I mean, he made it back to track very quickly, though.
He did. And, of course, one thing that is worth noting, side by side, let's talk about that one first. And Verstappen is going to go back to the point. Yes, the inside line in towards Lecombe. Of course, the outside line can work here well at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. But here, Norris back down into P number 2. Max Verstappen back to the race lead. And one of the things that is worth noting in this race is that normally on an iRacing event, you would have damage, and of course these Formula 3 cars, Toby, they do have the new damage model, which means it's more realistic in terms of what falls off the car. It was decided, however, for this event, because there's some people who are new to iRacing, they decided to turn the damage off.
Yeah, I mean, the Formula 3 cars with the new damage model, they literally disintegrate apart from the monocoque. You can lose everything, tires, spoilers, and everything. And I think it's a great thing to actually have the damage model off here, so as you said, the new guys have a little bit more of a chance. And also, we have, of course, race control who can enforce penalties, let's say.
Yeah, they can do it, and I know that actually Kirchhoff has done some tremendous work, as well as the rest of the Team Redline crew, in getting this event going. So I would like to say a big shout out to Atsi in particular for all the hard work he's put in, but the entire Team Redline crew as well, to enable you with us to provide this coverage here today. We're looking on board, by the way, with Max van Splunteren in the number 42 car. That is Job van Ulwit just ahead of him on track. This is about going on for P number 10 on track now, Connery, as they work just very close together in towards the bus stop chicane, and the LMP2 race winner of 2019 in the number 27 car having to play a little bit of defense.
Yeah, he is, and might have to in towards La Source. Van Splunteren goes very deep on the brakes into there, but not able to do anything. Instead, you probably have to wait for your better bet at a pass coming through the slipstream on the way in towards Eau Rouge Radion. Get it done then after Eau Rouge and Radion down the Kemmel Straight. You can see Van Splunteren really harassing the back, but meanwhile back towards your race lead, because Norris and Verstappen are going at it again, just swapping positions. And part of me thinks that these guys just slingshotting off each other to try and get away from the rest of the pack. If they are doing that, then they're being successful, because Van der Linde now is around about 1.3 seconds back on P number 2. Norris locking up that inside front tyre coming through Ravage. That's not going to help, and drops back a little bit off the back of Max. But back to that number 27 car, that's Van Uitert trying to battle with Splunteren, and then out of Ravage they go. And, well, Van Splunteren has the position into Jackie X corner, but Van Uitert carries so much more speed coming through there. He's able to get at least a quarter of a car length down the inside, coming through Pouon, and he basically just bullied Van Splunteren out of the way. Yeah,
there's a replay coming up on board right now with that number 27 car. Gets a great run out of the Jackie X corner, down in towards Pouon. Makes that one almost look easy, and actually we're going to talk quickly here, Toby. There's some people saying that this looks easy. Yeah, it might look easy, but actually, you know, it's a lot harder than you think. These are pro drivers, so racing is their acumen. But for a lot of new drivers to iRacing, yes, these Formula 3 cars are forgiving, but even in a 10-lap race, you can overheat those tyres, you can lose a lot of grip, as we go on board right now with the number 34 car into the grass at Blanchimont. But there's, you know, this is not an easy car to drive.
How did he save that one?
He's a pro driver. That's probably your easy answer. There's your easy answer.
I mean, he's a Formula 4 USA champion from 2016, so yeah, he probably knows how to handle open wheelers.
Yeah, as he's into the wall there.
Jinxed it.
Yeah, curse of the commentators. It happens in sim racing as well. The number 34 car losing positions as a consequence of that one. Side by side again, battle for the race lead as they go out front, and it is Lando Norris who now has the race lead, and Verstappen's looking to go past again. This is like two friends sharing a piece of cookie dough. I'm not going to lie about it, Toby. These are two friends having fun right now. It's kind of staged, it's there for the viewers' benefit, but these two guys, they're just out there having fun, and it's great to see.
honestly, you know, it's like those two friends doing bad stuff outside, you know, doing all these jokes to other people, like, you know, ringing the doorbell and then running away, until the point where they mess up. And I'm really scared that they, you know, overdo it at one point and then just go off after Kelmer State straight on or do the Montoya.
I do actually also think as well, Connery, now what we need to do is actually get both Max Verstappen and Lando Norris a piece of cookie dough and get them to do a podcast on Twitch. It will be amazing.
Yeah, that would be absolutely brilliant. We can even do it after this race. They are here in the team speak, so yeah, I mean that is an option. As you see Norris and Verstappen continuing on their way. I'm just saying though, Van der Linde has closed up a little bit over the last couple of laps. So if Verstappen and Norris aren't too careful here, then they might have a third party involved on their fun right now, as Verstappen just presses, well, at least tries to press the nose into the back of Lando Norris, really sort of abusing the fact that these guys have no damage, because if the damage was on there, well, that'll be Verstappen riding up over the back of Norris, just like Mark Webber did in Valencia with a Caterham. I can't remember who exactly it was.
Yeah, and of course, we have seen some big crashes at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps over the years. The one that always sticks out to me was Thomas Enya in the Prost down at Blanchimont down in 2001 with one of the Jaguars. And, you know, this track, you know, seriously, it is dangerous. Of course, they've paved over the gravel track down at Eau Rouge and Radion. 2 BARs in 1999, Toby, had huge crashes. I believe it was Pedro Diniz as well as Jacques Villeneuve crashing their BARs in 1999.
Yeah, probably. I mean, even in GT racing, we've seen some bigger accident, or in the WEC series, but mostly people get out of it very finely because of all the safety measures that the cars have. But not everyone is so fortunate, Connery.
No, and of course, Antoine Hubert, you're talking about that one there as well. Of course, Formula 2 driver losing his life last year, and one of the first actually big crashes we've seen in an open wheel in a while, Connery. So, on a more serious note, yes, these drivers are having fun here today. They're doing things that they wouldn't be able to do on a normal race car, but we've got to remember, on the back of every ticket, motorsports is dangerous.
Yeah, it is. You know, sim racing might not be, of course, but, you know, motorsports, you know, it is, you know, comes from a place of danger sometimes, and it's, you know, unfortunate that we have to deal with some tragic situations, and, you know, you just got to hope and pray from that point forwards where, you know, safety just keeps improving, and to the point where those sorts of situations become a rarity, and, you know, it's just really a tough topic to really talk about.
It is. Yeah, we missed side by side with Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. You know what? We're going to get it again, but thanks for letting us know, Token Ride 04. We might even see it in towards the bus stop chicane. Is Lando going to go down to the inside? Nope. He's going to wait until the more obvious passing opportunity. That is down on the exit of Radion. And yeah, let's actually have a look at Linda right now. He's in third place. We're going to get ourselves 3 drivers here separated by half a second with 2 laps to go, Toby.
Yeah, and Kelvin van der Linde did the waiting game as well, because as long as those two are having fun and battling, he creeped up on them lap per lap. And now is the chance where P3 can make a P1, but remember, it is the second to last lap, so Connery, everything can happen, yeah.
Anything can happen. Here we go. There's Norris's move to the driver's left-hand side, but what does Van der Linde do? He goes for it as well. There's the big block from Norris coming down the Kemmel straight. Van der Linde's boxed in here all the way into that corner. He tries to find his own space to work with, but somehow he keeps it all together as Verstappen and Norris go side by side. Gonna come, but Verstappen is spun. Norris is in the barriers as well. Van der Linde leads this race now. This is incredible.
Replay up then, Verstappen, number 33 car, down into Lecom. What happens? He catches the grass, he spins, and he hits Lando Norris with a lap and a half of this race to go. So on board then with Lando Norris right now in the number 24 car. There's Verstappen going past and spinning and then hitting Norris as he goes into the tyre barrier. It's all changed in the last lap and a half here, here, Toby. But it's Kevin van der Linde right now who leads by 0.8 of a second over Philip Eng.
Kelvin van der Linde, Philip Eng and Mikkel Jensen are your new top 3 at the moment, and it was exactly as I told you before. Those two playing around, at one point they're going to mess up when it gets serious, and Kelvin van der Linde, he must be grinning right now. I mean, over both ears.
Yeah, I know that I got into trouble for saying some things about Max Verstappen when he crashed in the Bathurst 12 hours, so I'm not going to make any comments there at all here, Connery. But it's basically taken that race-leading battle and tempered it down a little bit. But Philip Eng right now, he is hunting Kevin van der Linde in the battle for the race lead.
Here's the start of the final lap then, across the line. Kelvin van der Linde from 3rd to currently 1st, with Eng about 0.9 of a second behind him. It's a similar gap to what Colombo had towards the end of race number 1, so just taking that into account, this might not be Eng's day here unless there's a slight error from Kelvin van der Linde. That is going to be the main thing as they climb up the hill. Eau Rouge Radion for the final time. You can see the view on board with van der Linde. That's the visual gap between himself and Eng. Stands at about 1 second. He should be good to the end, but this race has thrown up surprises already.
Yeah, indeed. So for Kelvin van der Linde right now, he is about 2/3 of a lap away from claiming victory. There is battle still going on. Max and Lando are still going at it. His car spinning out there. That's Einchen Couven in the number 6 car. He spins there down at Le Com, and he decides to go backwards. As we turn our attention back to the front of your field for a moment, we go on board with Philip Eng in the number 25 car. It has been a great day's worth of racing here on the Team Redline stream on YouTube and on Twitch. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of it here today, but we still got a third of a lap to go, and as Murray Walker would always say, anything can happen in motor racing, and it usually does. What will happen here on the last lap of the race? Kelvin van der Linde is 0.8 of a second ahead of Philip Eng as they work themselves through Stavelot 2 for the final time. And van der Linde right now, all he's got to do is make sure he slows that car down properly into the bus stop chicane and gets his car through there. Even though we started the race at Eau Rouge, we finished the race on the traditional finish line on the exit of the bus stop. We're on board with your race leader as he comes towards the start-finish line. Kevin van der Linde, the 2019 ADAC GT Masters champion, wins race number 2 here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. Philip Eng comes home in 2nd place, but there's been some chicanery going on behind right now as we're going to show the replay of what happened into the final corner between Max Verstappen, Lando Norris et al. As they come in towards the final corner. And well, Lando's saying, thanks guys, I'll get you some cookie dough after the race there, Toby.
Yeah, they were a bit, well, let's say more aggressive at the end, maybe a little bit frustrated about what happened before. But you know what they probably were most? Laughing about the whole thing. I guess Lando and Max just couldn't stop laughing when that one happened. And probably one of them said, told you so.
Yeah, we haven't done a Jimmy B update, by the way. He started 25th. He finishes P number 23 in this race here today, Connery.
Yeah, P number 3, great to see, as right now it's, you can see, well, P number 23, excuse me, for Jimmy Broadbent, as we're seeing the view on board with him at the moment. He wishes it was going to be a P3, but unfortunately not to be. It must have required basically the apocalypse happening in the front of the field for that to happen. I'm sorry, Jimmy, but still 23rd place. Trying to keep himself out of trouble. Of course, you know, he was caught up in incidents earlier on in both races, but had the staying power to keep out there, keep at it, and you know, still gets a decent result at the end of things, considering the situation.
Yeah. I gotta admit, though, you know, the title he had in mind was perfectly. I just quote here: "Sim racer is continuously bullied by pro drivers."
Yeah. I'll give him that one. Jimmy coming home 23rd place here today. Let's give you then a run through your final race results from Real Racers Never Quit by Team Redline, race number 2 here from Spa. And we have a look from the front of your field, and after a chaotic last couple of laps, it is Kelvin van der Linde, the ADAC GT Masters Champion 2019, who claims victory by 1.1 over Philip Eng, who is a Porsche Super Cup champion. Mikkel Jensen in 3rd place. Max Verstappen, well, he finishes 4th, but that only tells part of the story. He was involved in a battle for the race lead on the last couple of laps with Lando Norris. That one all went a little bit crazy down in towards Lecom. Of course, then we saw what happened on the last lap of the race as well, down at the bus stop chicane. Antonio Felix da Costa comes home in P number 5 with Bruno Spengler in P6. Job van Uret in P number 7 with Max van Splunteren in P number 8. Jesse Krohn in 9th place, and Anchenku then rounds out your top 10. Connery, P11 through 20, floor's yours.
Well, Philippe Albuquerque will finish in P number 11 with Neil Verhagen in P12, Louis Deltraz in P13, Daniel Juncadella in P14, Luca Giotto in 15th place after starting 42nd. That's a massive amount of positions gained. Niels Langeveld in P16, Lorenzo Colombo, well, had a good qualifying, but unfortunately wasn't able to capitalize on it. He finishes in 17th place. Estran Muth in 18th, Mike Rockenfeller in 19th, and Bent Viscal rounds out the top 20.
Toby.
P21 then is placed by Nicky Katzberg, and Richard Westbrook makes out P22. Yeah, a sad Jimmy Broadbent without too much Pantorino then in place 23, followed by Lando Norris only in 24. What happened there? Daniel Mora then in 25th, Jose Maria Lopez 26th, Felipe Benazir 27th, the twice DTM champion Rainier Rust then on 28th, Christopher Mees in 29, and Richard Vachon in 30th.
Remainder of those results now coming up on your screen. Tom Dillman 31st, Larry Tenvort in 32nd, Jordan Pepper, Martin Tomzak, and Franco Colapinto rounds out your top 35 here today. We were hoping to see Johnny Vecchio, Team Redline driver, do well in this race. Unfortunately, he only comes home in P number 40. And there is a look then at the remainder of your results up on screen. And well, Connery, that's been fun.